and welcome back to another deep dive into the power of fasting. Right now, I am at 29 hours into this week's fast. You know, we do a 72-hour fast once a week, and my body is undergoing some profound transformations. It's shifting from burning glucose, right, that mode, into fat burning. As a matter of fact, it did that several hours ago. And this is where some of the most powerful metabolic benefits take place. This is right here. These are when we get those effects. But here's the thing. Not all fasting is created equal. There are some people who fast, they transition effortlessly into fat burning, while there are other people who struggle with hunger, fatigue, sluggishness. And the question is why? And that's because unlocking fat burning isn't just about avoiding food. It's about understanding and optimizing your body's metabolic responses. Hey, in today's session, what we're going to be talking about is going beyond the basics of just fasting. We're going to break down what's happening inside your body at 29 to 30 hours of fasting, which is where I am. How do we maximize fat burning and accelerate that metabolic flexibility? And some of the mistakes that slow down fat burning. That's right, we're gonna talk about that and how do we fix them. And then what are some signs that you're fully in the fat burning mode? If you've ever wondered how to push past the plateau, burn fat more effectively, and to make fasting feel easier over time, this is the episode for you. We're gonna unlock that together right here, right now. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, we are living that limitless life. And limitless living says that there's nothing that's going to prevent us from doing what we need to do. Nothing inside of us or nothing outside or surrounding us that's going to hinder. We're breaking free from those boundaries, and we are doing what we need to do. We're presenting our best selves, our best lives, our best health, and our best plans. Are you ready to dive in? Come on, let's do it. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments as well, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I'm happy that you are here. I'm glad that you're a part of the community. Go ahead and put a Q in front of your questions if you have questions as we move throughout the episode tonight, and we'll get to those just as soon as we can. I already see some of our community members that are out there, so I'm glad that you're here. We'll get over it and do a shout out to you here in just a minute. And I am so excited that I am back on this side of the pond. We spent some time the last couple of weeks away, and you may see, if you've been following us on our 100-day walk to consistency, you'll see some of those episodes that we did while we were away. You may have seen some shorts and some other videos, and we'll share some of that as we move through the rest of the season. But it was an amazing time. But I'm excited that we're back here right now hanging out with you. And as I said, I am in my fast now. I am 29 hours into this week's fast as we go through our 72-hour fast, and just excited to be here. If you are fasting right now, I want you to, in the chat, in the comments, I just want you to write a yes. All right, so if you're fasting right now, just go ahead and put a yes so that we know where you are, and just share with us what's been going on. So it's yes, and then improve blood sugars, improve weight, whatever that second component is that you are seeing right now. And you also know that we're going to take a look at my monitors. We're actually going to scroll back for a few days, because like I said, we've been away, and you get to see what's been going on with my blood sugars over the course of the last couple weeks. As we move throughout this week, as we do our check-ins today, tomorrow, and then of course Friday, we'll be taking a look at that as well. And this is what we're looking at. You got my monitors off to the side. We'll take a look at that. If you also know if you think you know what my ketones are going to be, you can drop those in the comments. And then right down below me, that is what my Dexcom meter is showing, and we'll take a look at that here in just a little while. All right, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let's do our check-in. And we do a check-in in two ways. Number one, I am currently doing a 72-hour fast. So we're going to do a check-in with that so that you can see where I am blood sugar-wise, ketones, and of course my monitor. The other check-in that I do is to let you know there are 3 parameters that I normally talk about, and these are how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. So we're going to take a look at that so that you understand where I am as I'm moving through this metabolic space with you, and then you begin to get an idea of some of the things that you need to look at as you are also moving through your fast, wherever you are, in whatever time frame and whatever type of fast that you're using. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at that right now. And these are the 3. The reason I go to these three, physical, mental, and emotional, is because they are the main places where people begin having problems. And as we go through our check-in later this week, we will make specific mention to some of these. I also go through these 3 because they are 3 of the 8 components of our pillars, right? Those domains that we talk about of metabolic health. And they are 3 of the primary areas where people will have difficulty. And so it makes sense in our check-in to talk about them, and when we talk about the domains to talk about them, when we've been doing our mini-series that we're doing as we walk through Limitless Living. These are the 3 top ones that we did. Okay, so if you go back and look at some of those episodes. But physically, right now, I am feeling, I'm feeling energetic. Often people will talk about feeling like they are sluggish and they feel like they're moving through mud or they hit a wall. I am not feeling any of that right now at 29 hours. And to be honest, I was actually fasting for longer, right? And I would have been fasting for, let me say that, it's not that I have. I would have been fasting for longer, but yesterday I'd been fasting for 24 hours, came home and walked into the kitchen and there was a piece of cheese right there and I grabbed it and ate it. And so really started that fast over. So we'll get to see, I don't think there was actually a big spike, but starting over from that point then was 24 hours, or 29 hours is what I am right now. So that would have been probably almost a 40 hour fast with that piece of cheese. Having said that, energy-wise, I feel good. We were on vacation, we came back. There was a little bit of fatigue, coming back across the pond. This was a 6 to 8 hour flight, and then we went to Nashville, landed in Nashville, drove from Nashville, drove back home, and then got into the day that next morning. And so in terms of the fast itself, actually feeling pretty good. I am rested. So did a good job when we came back of getting into bed and not spending a lot of time doing other things, just making sure that I got back into the space where I needed to be. Also doing a good job of hydration, right? Because that's a big one. Often we will feel fatigued, not because we are having a fast, but because we're not hydrated. We'll talk about that actually here in just a little bit as we get into our discussion for this evening. So that's what I'm doing physically. Mentally, that goes along with the physical. If you are tired, then your thought process can be sluggish. If you are tired, then your ability to communicate, your ability to problem solve, all of that can suffer. Right now, I am doing well because I'm rested, I'm hydrated, we were on vacation, came back, excited about the trip that we had, and it was amazing, by the way. Let me just say that. But mentally, I'm feeling good. Sometimes people will talk about feeling like they're in a fog, they're feeling like they're in a tunnel, feel like they're kind of grasping for straws, grasping for words. Right now, not having any of that in my space. And then emotionally, I'm elated. I'm having fun. Got to do some videos while we were away. Got a chance to see a different part of the world while we were away. Learned a lot about the different parts of the world, and just was great to be there. And of course, happy to be back. here in this space with you, and to be with my, talking to my family, talking to my team at work, seeing patients. I get excited about that, right? Yeah, part of me. And so emotionally, actually right now, feeling pretty good. So that's where I am there. Let's go ahead, and before I look at my monitors, which will come over here, and you'll see those here. Let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members that we see out there. And you guys have been doing a good job of chiming in and being on the videos. And so let me just go ahead and do a quick shout out to everybody that's out there, whatever platform you're on, by the way. Let me give a shout out first to you because we welcome you, whether you are on LinkedIn or Twitch or Instagram or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. So I see Gion is out there. She says, "Hi Doc, long time no see." Yes, Gion, glad to be back. She said, "Hi Wood Gang, miss you." Steve is saying hello. Hi Steve, how you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Gion says, "Hi Steve, I miss chat live so much." Bowie, hello everyone. Hey, hello from close to me, close for where I am. Gion is saying hello. Pamela, hey Pam, how you doing? Good, glad that you are here. And then of course Gion saying hi to Pam. So glad that you guys are all here. And I did not see any yeses in there. Right, this was yes. Are we fasting? So make sure you hop back and drop those in there. So let's go ahead and let's jump into our. Oh, before I do that, I've got to look at blood sugars. That's right. So here is what my blood sugar is right now, and this is my Freestyle Libre. And right now it says that my blood sugar is 57, and you'll see there at the bottom. So right about here. Oops, right about there. You'll see that green area, that shaded area, that the bottom of that green, bottom of the green is probably about 70, and the top of that green is 150. Now you'll see that my blood sugars, which is the squiggly line, that's right there, has been about below 70, right? It's been below 70, and right now just flipped below 60. And that's what you're seeing for most of the day. So that the effect of that piece of cheese that we had a little over 29 hours ago, we'll take a look at my Dexcom. When I look at that, I don't think there was a big bump. Actually, I haven't looked at it yet, so we'll see. So this is what my Libre says that my blood sugar is. And then, of course, here is the Dexcom. And you see it says 78. And what I want to do is I want to kind of scroll back. Actually, I don't think we'll be able to see what it was yesterday, because it doesn't. Oh, well, I guess you may be right there. So it was 80, about 88, and let's assume that that's where it is. And then so I ate the cheese a little bit before that, and so got up to 90, but then dropped. Yeah, so not a big change actually over the course of that time. So blood sugars have remained in the 80s to 90s. Did go down here. That's right at about 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's the dawn phenomenon that you see here, because it went down and then popped back up. And so kind of riding in the 70s and 80s for most of today. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's take a look at my Keto Mojo meter, and here is the contour. And let's go ahead and grab out of my container. This is my Keto Mojo. I need one for glucose, and then the blue ones are for ketones. Get rid of that, and then let's go ahead and grab a Lancet, which we'll use here. And then finally a strip for the contour. So we've got this, and the contour only gives glucose, so we won't see a ketone on that. That's okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to insert the strip for the contour. I'm going to open both of these because if I don't, then sometimes my drop of blood that I use will dry and then I've got to do some other stuff. Okay, so here is the strip for, that's the glucose. Grab my lancet and just find a finger, and I usually just use this and I press and ow, 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 ow. Make sure I get a good flow of blood. I think that should be good enough. And yep, there it is. You see how brisk that flow was and it came out? That's what we're looking for. And get those. Oops, this one didn't quite take. There we go. All right, so 58 is what the contour says. Let's go ahead and get this back up. So 58 is what the contour says. 50, oh, look at that. They are, look at that, y'all. The contour, the Keto Mojo, and the Freestyle Libre all have the same thing. So let's go ahead and get this strip out. I'm gonna get this one into that monitor because this is gonna give us our ketones. And I think I still have a pretty good drop of blood. Go ahead and get that started. And of course, I'm not gonna show you what that is because I want you guys to guess, right? So let's hop over and we'll come back over here. Okay, so if you think you know what it is, go ahead and drop that in the comments so that we can, we'll do that together. Okay. So, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to jump into our live discussion, right? About fat burning. So that's what we're talking about, fat burning. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to understand some basic things, right? So how does the body burn fat, right? So to unlock the fat burning potential, we need to understand this. And there are three main fuel sources in the body. There's glycogen, right? So this is the default energy source. So when you eat, your body stores glucose in the liver and in the muscle. That's the first place, right? This is like bringing food home and it goes into the refrigerator, right? So it stores it when you cook it. And it goes into the muscle, it goes into the liver. This is stored as glycogen. In the fed state, that is those first hours after you've eaten, your body burns the stores of glycogens first before it even goes to touch fat. Because there's no reason for it to touch fat. I was talking to someone earlier this week, and I was explaining that that the food that we eat, we often think that food is going to like run everything in our body right now. Well, if your body already is functioning, it already has the ability to run your heart and your liver and your lung and your brain and your muscles. If you've eaten before and the body's now using some of that, there's no reason for it to take the food that you just ate and to use it for energy. In fact, most of the time, think about a car, right? This is a good example. Think about a car. So you go to the gas station and you fill the car up. And you're driving and you drive a block away from the gas station. And then you turn right back around and then you go back to the gas station, you put more gas in the car. Well, guess what? The car didn't even use the gas that it had before you filled it back up. And often when we are going through our day, we eat breakfast and the body is still processing the food from the breakfast, and then we have a snack, or even if we don't have a snack, then we go have lunch. Well, it hasn't used up the energy from the stuff we ate in the morning. So what do you think it does with the new energy that we just got? Well, it has to do something with it because it's already in the process of using energy from breakfast, for example, for the stuff that we needed to do in running the heart and the lungs and the kidneys and so forth. And I keep saying those particular organs because those are the ones that everybody knows. But everything else in the body has to function. And so the food that you just ate in the fed state, it doesn't have to go anywhere. Now, I have to say that there's some of that food that does get put into using specific things right now. But most of it, if you have been eating regularly does not go to run your body. It goes into storage. And then the body has to use that first. The storage, it uses that first before it ever gets to the fat cells. So there are people who have fat cells that have been there, and we've not been able to get to them to begin burning those fat cells because we continually put stuff in that fed state, and there's no reason to go. Like, there's no reason to go to my pantry to get stuff if there's stuff in the refrigerator. Get the idea? And so glycogen provides that quick energy, but it's limited. It's kind of like, and I love these old movies. And actually now it's not even old movies because they do it in a lot of movies. So these people are drag racing, or they're racing some cars. And, you know, they're going, and one's going and there's speeding, and everybody's going down the road. And then there's one car, right, where you see somebody reach over, and there's a little button in the car, and they flip the switch or they hit the button, and the car goes, Nyam! So I think of glycogen and glucose like that. That first burst that you get, yeah, it's good, and it's powerful, and it's strong, but it doesn't last for long. It gets you there, or gets you partially the way there, but it doesn't last long. And for the food that we eat, the glycogen typically lasts, the stuff in the liver that's being stored, it typically lasts for about 12 to 24 hours. So that when we're talking about fasting, well, let's go back to just eating. So when we're talking about eating, people will say to me, man, I'm diabetic, and I don't understand why my blood sugars are still high because I haven't eaten all day. And I'll say to them, well, what do you mean you haven't eaten all day? And they'll say, well, I didn't eat since last night. Well, last night was 12 hours ago. So the fact that your blood sugar is still high now makes sense because the food that you ate is still in your body, right? And then we talk about 24 hours. Well, if I've eaten breakfast and now I'm walking through the day and I go and I eat lunch 3.5 hours, 4 hours later, my body still hasn't gotten through those 6 hours of the postprandial period where it's breaking down the food and absorbing the nutrients and putting them into storage and sending them through the body. It hasn't even gotten through that yet because there's stuff still in my stomach. The stuff hasn't even passed out yet. And though we go and we put stuff in, right? So this idea of breaking down fat, we have to get through this process first. So this happens 12 to 24 hours into the fast. Well, what happens at 29 hours? This is where I am, right? Your glycogen stores are now mostly depleted. And this is forcing the body to tap into the stores of energy, right? Now it's going to the fat cells and saying, hey, you got to give me some stuff because, you know, he hasn't eaten for whenever, right? And so your glycogen is depleted and it's forcing the body to now go into the pantry of this, right? We're going to call the fat cells the pantry, go into the pantry to get stuff out. And so fat oxidation, the burning of fat for energy, begins to accelerate. Now, it started right at about 24 hours, but as we get into the 29 hours, which is where I am, now it's really accelerated, and the body's now saying, okay, I need to get some stuff. Okay? So then that's the first one. The next is fat. So we talked about carbohydrates with glycogen. The next is fat. And so fat is the long-term energy reserve. So after glycogen runs out, after the glycogen runs low, the body shifts from burning carbohydrates, glycogen, to burning fat in the form of triglycerides. And triglycerides are the storage form of fat in the cells. So when we take fat out of the cells, it comes out as triglycerides. That is, and I always tell people it looks like a fork, right? So there are 3 prongs, 1, 2, 3, and it's attached to like a big fork head, right? So what we do is the body cuts off the teeth of the fork. Those are the free fatty acids. And then it's left with like the main part of the fork, and that's called glycerol. That's why it's called triglycerides. You get that? So it breaks it down into free fatty acids and glycerol. And the free fatty acids, they get used for energy, particularly for the muscles. So the muscles like to use fat, free fatty acids, for energy. And then the glycerol gets converted into glucose for the brain. This is why sometimes people will say, hey, you've been fasting for X number of hours, but I don't understand why the blood sugars are still whatever they are. Well, the body still has the ability to go in and take the fat cells and break it down, get rid of the free fatty acids, but the glycerol part still can be converted into sugar. And so sometimes you'll see that blood sugar fluctuate. That's what's happening. And so what's happening at 29 hours, we have lipolysis, so the breakdown of fat, and that is now fully activated. Your body is using a combination of free fatty acids for fuel and ketones for the brain. That's what's going on at that time, right? So we're talking about how the body burns fat, okay? And so insulin levels are low. And this makes it easier for fat cells to release the stored energy, the stored fat, because insulin is a storage hormone. And as long as insulin is high, then your body's ability to switch over to burning fat from burning carbohydrates is impaired. This is why it is so important. And you know, if you guys have been following me, you hear me talk about the 3 pillars of reversing diabetes. Pillar number 1 is to decrease insulin. And not only is it the pillar for reversing diabetes, it also is one of the pillars for all of the metabolic diseases that would follow behind that. So things like obesity. If your insulin levels are high, it is difficult for you to lose weight. Because every time you try to lose a pound, the insulin that's in your body, which is high, right? Like diabetes or pre-diabetes, insulin resistance, all those phrases that people use. What that simply means is that your insulin levels are tending to be higher than normal. And as long as the insulin levels are high, then it makes it difficult for the body to go into the pantry and pull out the fat and burn the fat. So people will say, I've been eating less, I've been exercising, I've been doing all this stuff people are telling me, but my weight is not going down. The weight's not going down because the insulin levels are high. This is the other reason that we talk about when people are talking about the medications that they're on. The very first medications, and we're talking here for type 2 diabetes, by the way, type 2, adults with type 2 diabetes. The very first thing that we want to do when we're talking about insulin or talking about treating diabetes in terms of medication is to get rid of the insulin. Get rid of the insulin, get rid of medications that produce insulin, get rid of medications that make your body push out more insulin. All of those medications are the very first ones that we get rid of. And then we start working on others, right? That's that's part of the whole process, right? So we got the fats with carbs, we have the fats, and then ketones. The brain's alternative source of fuel is ketones. The brain cannot directly use fat for energy. So when you're breaking down the fat, it can't use those free fatty acids. But when the free fatty acids get turned into ketones, then the brain takes those and says, thank you, I love them. So the liver converts the free fatty acids into ketones, and these now serve as a powerful energy source for the brain. High ketones equal more fat burning equals greater mental clarity, because the brain likes that, right? So 24 hours. So your ketone levels are rising at 29 hours. Enhanced fat burning is happening and cognitive functions are improving. The brain is now fueled by ketones instead of glucose. Autophagy is going on, right? That cellular cleanup process is increasing. This improves the metabolism, improves the metabolic health, and sets us up, right, for the downstream things that are about to happen. So that's what's going on during that process. So the second question is, So what's happening? How does it burn? Why is fat burning seeming to be slow in some people? Why does it seem to be slow? And this has to do with the things that are going on prior to the fast. So even at 29 hours, some people may not feel fully adapted to fasting. And there are a couple of reasons, well, more than a couple of reasons for that. So insulin resistance slows fat burning, which is the point that we were just making. If you have insulin resistance, your body is sluggish, and it struggles to switch from burning glucose to burning fat. So that even though you are doing the types of things that we're talking about, even though you're exercising, even though you're drinking water, even though you've cut back on the food that you're eating, if your insulin level is elevated, then it makes it difficult for your body to even attempt to burn fat. And this is even at 24 plus hours, it makes it tough. And the insulin levels may still be high at 24 hours. I wish there were a way to just like we check ketones, I wish there were a way for us to check insulin levels at home, because that would be so instrumental for you to see. Let me make a point here. One of the most enlightening things for a lot of people is when they put on one of these glucose monitors, because they can get to see in near real time, because they do every 5 minutes. They get to see in near real time what exactly the things that they're doing in terms of food, exercise, sleep, stress, whatever you want to call it. They get to see exactly what those are doing to their body, because they get to see that number change, which is why it's so instrumental to be able to check. Now, what I started saying is I wish that there were a way to be able to check our insulin levels, just like we are able to check ketones. But there's not a simple, ready way of doing that right now. And so we're stuck with having to do that during blood draws. But if your insulin levels are high, if they're still too high, then this prevents the fat breakdown. And you hear me say all the time that when insulin comes out, it is difficult for ketones to show up. So over time, each time you fast, you develop a better, faster, easier way to switch from what you're burning right now to burning fat. And you've got to do this. This is why fasting regularly helps. Keep fasting consistently. Over time, the insulin levels drop faster and faster with regular fasting. All right, so the first thing is insulin resistance slows fat burning. Number two, high cortisol levels can block fat loss. And cortisol, as you know, that's that stress hormone. So in the acute, when there's danger, cortisol comes out. Cortisol gives you energy because it goes and it grabs sugar. Because remember, epinephrine and cortisol are the two hormones. Epinephrine prepares the body, gets it ready, just waiting for the cortisol to show up with the sugar. That's what's going on. That feeling that you get where you're anxious, okay, something's about to go on. Your body is primed and ready and waiting. And then cortisol comes and it drops the sugar in there, and then we're off. Hey, we see a tiger, we see a lion, and we start running. But when that stress becomes chronic, it leads to high cortisol, and the high cortisol gives us a tonic amount of sugar all the time. And if the blood sugars remain elevated, then insulin has to come out, and insulin has to be the thing that's bringing the blood sugar down, because that's what the body does. The body doesn't like high sugar. And I'm talking now for whether you're diabetic or non-diabetic. This is what's going on in your body. And because the insulin level had to come out to deal with the sugar that resulted from the stress, fat burning doesn't happen readily. And so this delays the fat burning that we see. And so the solution there, what do you think it is? Yeah, deal with the cortisol. But what we do often is it's a cortisol problem that comes from stress, and we decide that we're going to eat less. That's kind of like What's the example I was giving several weeks ago? I was talking about you show up and your car window is broken, right? And there are a couple of kids playing around your car. And you go and you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna fix my car window. So you go and you get the car window fixed. And you come back, you park the car the same way, the kids are there, and you come back again and the window's broken. You're like, this doesn't make any sense. And you go and you get the window fixed, and you come back, you park the car the same place, and you go away, you come back, and the window's broken. Now, you could decide that this is just poor manufacturing, right? Man, they just keep making bad windows. Or you could find the kid that has the rock that's throwing at your window and break the window. So what we do is we see the poor fat burning, we see the poor metabolism, we see the poor blood sugars, and we focus on food when it's not a food issue, is the fact that there is stress going on and the cortisol needs to be adjusted. So in this instance, right now there is a case for food, because food is a big deal. But in this case, we're not talking about food. We're talking about the fact that you have chronic stress, and chronic stress makes it difficult to lose weight. Not only that, not only does it make it difficult to lose weight, but chronic stress makes you hungry. Now, how does that work? You remember we talk about the stress hormone? Well, if I see a tiger and I run from the tiger, my body had to go and mobilize a lot of energy. And now it takes that energy, it dumps it into my bloodstream as sugar. And now in order to run, what am I doing? I'm using up that sugar. So when I get away from the tiger, and hopefully you do, when I get away from the tiger or the lion or whatever the animal is, or the danger is gone, because my muscles and my brain and my heart have been using up that sugar because it had to get me away. Now the body says, because you used up all that energy, you have to go now and find more energy to replace what you use. And that's why you get hungry after a stressful event. Make sense? Now that's a normal process. That's how it's supposed to work. Well, if you are chronically stressed, then the body doesn't know that you don't need to replenish the energy. So it still makes you hungry. So not only are we having difficulty losing weight because the insulin level is high, but now that we have this chronic stress from the cortisol that's there makes us eat more. So our blood sugar is already elevated, our weight is already blunted in terms of going down, and now I'm eating more, and because I don't need the energy, because my body already has the energy that it needs to run my heart and my lung and all the other stuff, what do you think happens to the food, the energy that I just ate? Well, it gets stored. And so not only does our weight not go down, our weight actually starts going up. Right? So insulin resistance, high cortisol levels from chronic stress, and then electrolyte imbalances. If you feel weak, lightheaded, sluggish, you might be losing too many electrolytes. And this itself can cause delay in fat metabolism, delay in fat burning. So sodium, potassium, magnesium, those things, those elements, they are essential for fat metabolism. Because if you don't have them, then the cycles that we go through to burn fat doesn't work. So high levels of insulin, high stress, and now we are dehydrated. We're not taking in enough electrolytes. So a solution for this one is make sure that you're hydrated and that you are taking in electrolytes. Sometimes people will say, use Himalayan salt, make salt water. One of our community members who I just saw just hop in there has been great about sharing with us her regimen for hydration and electrolytes. Thank you, by the way. Right. So why is fat burning slow for some people? There it is right there. So how do you maximize fat burning from that 30 to 48 hours? So I'm 28 at 29 hours, right? So after 30 hours, then we know that fat oxidation is well in place. But how do we push it even further? Well, one, we can increase the ketones for deeper fat burning. So things like green tea will stimulate ketone production. One of the things that we've talked about is, for those of you who are out there who drink coffee, so black coffee, one of the reasons that we said that black coffee was allowed was that black coffee, not only does it not help break the fast, but it also helps stimulate ketone production. Right? You remember when we initially talked about fasting, we said that we're fasting from all calorie-containing stuff, right? Food, electrolyte, liquids, and so forth. But we said that green coffee or black coffee was allowed, and of course green teas and so forth. So number one, you can drink green tea that stimulates ketone production. Movement, exercise, light movement stimulates ketones. So we're talking about how do we maximize fat burning, right? We increase ketones that give us deeper fat burning. So one, drink green tea. Number two, light exercise. So fasted walking or stretching or yoga. If you've been following us on our 100-day walk to consistency, that's a great way to do that. So light walking. And then MCT oils, so medium chain triglyceride oils, if needed. These enhance the ketone levels. Because remember, triglycerides are the things that are in the body. Those are the fat cells. But if we want to enhance ketones, we can actually take some of that from outside, right? There are lots of products that are out there that give you ketones. So number one, increase ketones for deeper fat burning. Number two, lower insulin levels even more. So in addition to decreasing the amount of insulin you take as medication, decreasing the medications that force your body to make insulin, right? Those are the two things. One, you can avoid artificial sweeteners that spike your insulin levels. Or let me say sweeteners. Avoid sweeteners that spike the insulin levels. Because there are some sweeteners that, and we've done a show where we talked about the different ones that will cause an insulin response. They don't cause a blood sugar rise, but they cause an insulin response. And that insulin spiking, simply the fact of spiking the insulin, causes our body to have difficulty going to fat burning. Number one. Number two, practice deep breathing. We're talking about cortisol. Often I have this question, well, how does my deep breathing, or how does my visualization, or how does my counting to 10 help with fat, help with my weight? Well, it helps with weight because when you are adept, when you are practiced, when you are good at doing this, it lowers the cortisol level. When the cortisol level goes down, we just talked about the process of why cortisol causes difficulty losing weight. So when you're able to do this, you breathe. Man, this is just so exciting to me, right? Breathing well, deep breathing, learning how to be mindful, learning how to deal with my stress causes weight loss. Man, I'm just going to keep breathing. Right, because it reduces the stress hormone. When it reduces the stress hormone, that leads to weight loss. If you've been following me over this, I forgot which episode it was, what day we were on. And I was saying that one of the things that is exciting to me is that as we are walking through limitless living, that journey that we're on, we're learning that we're not allowing things outside of us or inside of us to prevent us from going down the path we need to go. And as we're doing that, one of the most important things that we're learning is the management of stress, how to deal with stress. Not get rid of stress, because you can't get rid of all stress, but how do I respond to stress? Because if I respond well, My cortisol level goes down. If my cortisol level goes down, I know I'm burning some fat. Because if that happens, my sugar goes down, my insulin level goes down. When insulin level goes down, come on, it's off to the races. So deep breathing. The next thing is don't snack between fasts. Oh, this is a good one. And we've not done the show yet. I keep saying that we're going to do it. We have to do a show about snacking. There is no physiologic reason for snacking. None whatsoever. When we eat, and this has been a what is the word? This has been one of those things that has been so ingrained in us that we now think it's normal. In fact, when I send patients to any educator, one of the things they come back with is that they've got to eat frequent small meals. And I love our educators, right? They're great at what they do. And I love sending my patients to them. But one of the things that we have been indoctrinated upon or with is that we've got to eat frequent small meals. And the answer is no, we do not. What we've been told is that it helps the metabolism stay active. Now, here's the thing. If it helps the metabolism stay active, that means that the body is processing stuff, right? That's what that means. Well, if I'm eating all the time, then, and most of the things we eat, it's not like you're biting on a piece of beef jerky, or even if it's beef jerky, it's like usually flavored with all kinds of stuff, right? So whatever we're eating typically has some carbs in it, because people aren't just like out there eating a piece of meat. Whenever you eat carbs, what has to happen? Your body has to produce insulin, or you have to take insulin to keep the blood sugars normal. And anytime, and I know I keep drilling this in, but I want you to get that. Anytime insulin shows up, it makes the process of burning fat difficult. So when you're snacking all day, right, even if it's a small meal, there's still a bunch of insulin in there. It may not be the big dose that you get from eating a big meal, but there is some insulin in there, and insulin showing up is itself the problem. We keep harping on the sugar levels and how high the sugar is. It's not a sugar problem. Diabetes is not a sugar problem. It is an insulin problem. The fact that we eat sugar exacerbates the problem. And so don't snack between meals or between fasts. So sometimes people will, no, I finished fasting. Okay, let me go snack. Well, no, you don't need a snack. All right, so we're talking about the body, right? So what are we doing? How are we doing? We are working on how to maximize fat burning. So 1, increase ketones. We talked about that. Number 2, lower the insulin level. And number 3, train your body for faster adaptation. So adaptation is the process of going from burning carbohydrates to burning fat. The more consistently you fast, the faster your body learns to switch. The more you do it, the faster it does. Now, in fact, and this is one that is still being talked about. Sometimes your body becomes so efficient at burning ketones that it doesn't need that much ketones to burn. Right, so you switch over, but it gets so efficient at burning ketones because that's what it's used to now, that it doesn't always need that many ketones to be able to do what it normally does. And so we want to begin training our body. So one of the things that you will hear people say is, like, I shouldn't say see people say, but you'll hear people talk about at the beginning of the year, they do a cleanse. They do a fasting cleanse. And that's great. But if you do fasting cleanse once a year, then you're really not training your body to adapt. Does that make sense? Now, there's nothing wrong, and I'm not knocking the cleanses that we do. Some people do fasting cleanse at the beginning of the year. They do it twice a year. Whatever it is, there is always value to it because it does all the metabolic benefits that you get, and also the non-metabolic benefits. Like when we do at our church, we fast for lots of different things. We fast from food, we fast from television, from social media, we fast from whatever it is that we're fasting from. There is some benefit, and those are non-metabolic benefits. So all of that is great. But if we're talking specifically about burning fat, if you're fasting once a year or twice a year, your body is not adapting. So the more consistently you do it, the faster the body learns to switch between those sources. And that's why we recommend once a week that you do a fast. Once a week, you do at least a 24-hour fast. And notice how it's all coming together. Once a week, we're doing a fast because we're training the body to adapt faster. And we're doing a 24-hour fast because it is at 24 hours when your glycogen stores are almost or nearly depleted. And it is then that the body is attacking the fat cells. So regular fasting improves metabolic flexibility, and it makes it easier in the future to get into the fast and for us to see those benefits. So what are some key signs? What are some key signs now that you are unlocking the metabolism and fat burning? Well, at 29 to 30 hours into fast, here's how you know. Number one, hunger fades. Remember, in those first hours, the postprandial period, that hunger can be intense, particularly depending on what you did coming into the fast. But now that you are in the fast and the body's producing ketones, remember, ketones themselves will make you feel less hungry. Because your body's burning ketones, that means that your insulin level has to be lower or the ketones can't come out. And if the insulin is lower, then it's not stimulating my appetite. You see how that all ties together? So number one, hunger fades. Number two, you don't have lots of dips in your energy level. Because sugar is very volatile. It comes out, it goes away, comes out, it goes away. But when you're burning fat, there's a constant source. Most of us, by the way, have enough source, enough energy to have a constant drip of ketones. It's kind of like I give the example of Tony Stark when he puts in the new arc reactor and he goes with that, and you get that. Yeah, that's like a pure source of energy now, and it's constant. And then mental clarity improves because the brain is now burning ketones. Those beta hydroxybutyrate. That's the ketone that we like, that the brain loves. And then we can measure ketones to confirm that we are in ketosis. That's why it's important to monitor. And then the blood sugars stay stable, no major crashes. So if we're doing the longer fast, you will see blood sugars go down. And people say, "Oh man, don't you feel shaky, lightheaded, dizzy?" And the answer is no, I don't, because even though the blood sugar is low, I'm still getting a constant source of energy from the ketones. So if you're noticing these signs, hunger is going away, mental clarity, you feel that the energy is stable, and you check your ketones and blood sugars, now you know where you are. So the key to unlocking fat burning is the word. We've been using this word on the 100-day walk to consistency, 100-day walk, and the word is consistency. The more you fast, the more efficient your body becomes at burning fat. So how do we unlock it? Regular fasting. Regular fasting lowers your insulin level, lowers your resistance, makes you more insulin sensitive. It improves your fat oxidation over time. If fat loss is slow, focus on hydration, look at your stress reduction, and get some light movement in there. Right? So how do we unlock it? There it is. There it is. There it is. All right. So let's hop over and let's say hi to some of our, I see some community members that have popped in, and I mentioned one. I didn't call her by name. But let's see. So Gion says that she thinks my ketones are going to be 0.4, so I'm going to hold on to that. Jennifer says, howdy all. On for a bit. Oh, well, thank you for joining. We had a blizzard. Ooh. Trees are down and no power. Well, Jennifer, thank you for coming through. You guys stay safe, for you and your family. I'm still thinking about those animals that you got to get out there and move around. Gion is saying, hi, Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer, I hope you're safe. Yes, we definitely hope you are safe. Cell phone and internet is spotty. Well, thank you for hopping on and just hanging out with us just for a little while. She said, thankfully, we have a generator for backup power. That is amazing. That's good. And Gion says, good for you, Jennifer. Snow in spring is frustrating. Yes, it can be very, very, very frustrated. All right, so let's go ahead and let's hop over. I want to take a look now at what my blood sugars are. So let's hop over. This is my Dexcom Clarity Report, and this is 14 days. This is 14 days. And you'll see there that my glucose management indicator is 5.6. And if you remember, we were having some challenges over the last several weeks, actually a little over a month, where this was an issue because blood sugars were about 40 points higher. My average over the last 14 days is 101. I am in target 95% of the time, target being anywhere from 70 to 180, and that's the number that you see there. If I go back, and I want to take a look at 30 days, and you'll see these numbers will be a little higher, right? Because we're going back now, and go back to 90 days, we're probably in the 7s. Well, not quite 7, 6.9. But 14 days, I'm excited about that. And then if I go to 7 days, what was that? So 7 days, this is the last week, right? So we're on vacation. We are in England, we're in London, England, and we also went to Paris. So let's go ahead and take a look, and let's see what was going on over that time. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Let's go back. Let's take a look. Let's go through each day. And so this is Wednesday. This is today. And you'll see what the blood sugars have been. And you'll see they're kind of hanging out in the 70s and 80s. Right? So if I go back here. So 29 hours is where we were. So 29 hours ago. We were in the 70s and 80s. Earlier that morning, we were in the 90s to 100s. Because remember, we were not quite fasting yet. So that's Tuesday. And so right here is Monday. So Monday, this was kind of a crazy day because we started out in Paris coming back, and we left Paris about 12:30, 1 o'clock. Was it 12:30? Right, so 12:30, and so that was 6 o'clock your time, right back here. And so on the plane, right, so this is, and I took a picture. Let's see, do I have that? I have that because I wanted to, we're going to do an episode on that. Let me see if I have. I took a picture of what I ate there it is. Okay. Let me see how I can do that. I'm going to hop over here for a minute. So this is chicken, potatoes, and mushrooms, right? And here's a little salad. That's what we got on the plane. And I'll show you what my blood sugars were at the time. So 86 is what it started out at. This is what I ate. Now, there's some other things on there, but I'll show you what I ate. Let's see, does it? Okay. Oops. Okay, here it is. There we go. Oops. Yeah. So we ate the salad and we ate the mushrooms from the meal, right? Everything else we did not eat. Yay. And so anyway, so this is what happened there. Those are the blood sugars that you see. Let's go back to this one. Here we are. Okay. So those are the blood sugars that you see here. And then this, oh, I think this was some cough drops on the plane because the plane was cold and I was having some issues. So this was coming back. Going back to while we were there, this is our last full day in Paris. And so we were 130s, 110s, 114, 107. Right, and the food was actually good. Oh, no. Okay, let's back up. So here, I remember. So we came back, we landed, and in the airport, I had a half of a Impossible Burger from Burger King. That's what that is right there. I just remembered that. So back here, so we're in Paris. That's what the blood sugars are. We're in Paris. That's what the blood sugars are, right? 120s, one lower 100s. We are in Paris, right? 90s, 100s. This right here is supper. So while I was there, I did mostly kind of one meal a day. In the morning, I would have tea, and then one meal a day. And so that's what you see up here. Got up to about 150s. And I have pictures of all this. We won't go through that right now. Here we're in London, in the low 100s. And let's see if I can. Let's see more. Show more. Why won't it go more? Okay, so this is 7 days. So I'm going to change this to 14 days. There we go. All right, so let's go back. So here, okay, yeah, and so here we are, right? So London, our last day in London. The day before that, we're in the 100s. The day before that, we're in the 100s, low 100s. And so for most of that time, right, you'll see that my blood sugars actually stayed reasonable. And so right here was, that was supper. And the Sunday before we got there, this is where we were. And the Saturday before we got there, this is where we were. And you guys will recall that we did we broke our fast in here. So in that entire time, right, because here's where we were fasting before we left. We were below 100, below 70s, which is where we are now in terms of blood sugars. And then for that entire time, our blood sugars actually stayed reasonably well. Now, one of the big things that was going on, what do you think was happening over there? Right, was eating, but doing one meal a day, but I was walking a lot. Right, isn't that amazing? Yeah. All right, so now let's go over and let's take a look at, I want to pull up my Keto Mojo and let's see what that blood sugar is. I have not looked at it yet. Let's go ahead and grab my meter, my Keto Mojo. Let's get that turned on. Let's get that off the screen. And let's go ahead and hit the sync button. And let's pull that over. And you ready? Let's see. I think someone said, I think Gian said she thinks it was 0.4. Readings with the wrong date. Oh, I think. Now I did take my stuff with me. I did not check my ketones while I was there. So I think my meter is off. So it's saying March 13th. Let's go ahead. Let me see if I could change that. Okay, so the time is off. Let's see what we can do. If we can correct it, then we'll do that here. For some reason, I'm not sure why that is. But for right now, for the number that it just got, it was 0.1, which actually doesn't make sense to me, right? Because I would expect, and my blood sugar was 90. Let's go ahead and check see if we can sync that again. Let's go ahead and pull that over. So we're going to sync again. Because today's the 19th. And so let's see if it gets any more data. No, it did not. Okay, so while we do that, I'm gonna check blood sugar again. But let's go ahead and hop over and say hello to some more folks. Let's see. Jennifer said, thankfully we have a generator. Yeah, we are so excited that you are doing well, Jennifer. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Steve says 0.3. And so Steve, yeah, so I'm a little surprised. I think you have a great job while traveling, OMAD and walking. You're doing great, doctor. So let's go ahead and thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Gion. Let's go ahead and let's do this again because I'm now intrigued. So let's grab another one of these. Grab another one of these, and let's see what we got. All right, so we're going to open. This is a glucose strip. And let's get that in there. And then open a ketone strip, and we just have that off to the side. And let's grab. I need to get another Lansing device or Lancet out of our tray, and let's go ahead and do another finger stick. And let's do that there. And ow, 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 ow. That better give me a good flow of blood. And let's go ahead and get that started. So that gives me a blood sugar, and then I'm going to make sure I keep a drop going because we'll need to get my ketones here in a minute. So 62 is what the blood sugar says, right? Let's get that out and just go ahead and push this one right in. Oops, come on. I'm going to do that because I don't want that blood to dry. And then let's go ahead and get this started. Okay. And now let's take a look at that together. And let's see what that's going to show. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0.1. Okay. And let's sync that so it shows up here as well. And let's pull that over. So 62 blood sugar with a 0.1. And once again, this is one of those times when that number doesn't quite make sense to me, right? Because I would expect, and you saw the blood sugars kind of hanging down below 70 for most of today. If we go back over here, right, you'll see what that is. Still hanging out in the 60s right now, and yet this thing says that my ketones are 0.1. And as you know, for ketones, since I've been fasting for 29, almost 30 hours, I would expect that my body has switched over and is burning those fat cells, which is great. Now, one of the points I made earlier is that sometimes the body becomes so efficient at burning ketones that it doesn't need that many ketones to function. So we'll keep looking at this, and we'll see what this is when we continue our fast later this week as we continue doing those check-ins. But the interesting one, right? Right now, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'll take a look at my monitor to make sure that it's not having an issue. If you guys remember, several months ago, I had to change the battery, and that was the issue. So I'll try to do that again. Okay. Awesome. All right. So that is, I mean, this is so exciting to me, y'all. This fasting idea. One of the things that we've not done for a while, and I want to do that quickly, is we've not looked at this graph, or not this graph, but we've not looked at this. And so this is, you'll see there, that is my Fit Index. That's the app that I use. There's a scale that goes along with it. And you'll see there, that's what my weight currently is. If you recall, last year we were at 188. And so here we are a year later and about 2 pounds more than that. Now, if I look at the trends, you'll see that, so look at that. So we were up at 203, right? So we were kind of hovering in that area. And then over the last several weeks have come down to 190, okay? And so one of the things that I'm excited about is that I was excited about talking about fat burning is so that we understand the things that are going on. Now I've deliberately not been showing the weight because there's something that we're going to do that I want that to be an example for us as we walk through the process. But there, you'll see that there. So March 3rd, I think, of last year was 188. And here we are, March 19th, I believe. Yeah. So about 16 days later than that, we're about 190, 190.6. Okay. All right. And so it is a process. It is a process that we're on. It is a journey that we're on. Limitless living. Limitless living says that we're breaking free. We're not allowing anything to hinder us, nothing from outside of us, nothing from inside, to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. That's what I've got on the back of my mug. All right, so if you're there, right? So we're breaking free from those boundaries. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. Nothing inside, nothing outside is preventing us from doing what we need to do. And all of this is built on our Triple E formula for success. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the blogs, with the podcasts, with the shows that we do. We empower with the tools. Right now, we've got so many tools that are going on, right? We've got the fasting that we're doing, right? Once a week, we're fasting. We've got the balanced bites that we've talked about. We've got the 100-day walk to consistency and health that's going on every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning for 30 minutes. All of those are tools, and you can tap into those tools. This is where the stuff that we're learning, all this theory, all this talk, takes effect when action happens. When you're hearing this and you're just sitting and listening and you may be making some notes, that's just theory, y'all. This is just stuff up here. It is helping to change the mindset. It is helping to give you a perspective, but it does not take life until you infuse it with action. And that's what the empowerment is. Empowerment means that you have the ability to make a change in your metabolism. You have unlimited ability. That's what limitless means. When we were in math, we used the infinity sign. Infinity means unlimited. There is no bounds. There's no border. There's no boundary. And when you put this stuff to practice, when you are in the process of infusing it with your action, with your behavior, with your thoughts, with your works, with your ideas, when you're in the process of doing that, then the stuff that you hear, right, educate, empower, takes life. We educate, we empower, and we encourage with this amazing community that you are part of. If you want to go somewhere, you can go by yourself. But if you want to go far, if you want to go long, if you want to be consistently successful, go with a community. And we provide that community for you right here. We're so excited that you're here. Glad that you're here. Remember that you have the ability to make a change in your life. And not only in your life, but you have the ability to make change in somebody else's life. So when you show up, make sure that you are following, make sure that you are putting the things into practice, make sure you're using the tools, but then let somebody else know that there is a place where they can go, where they can also be healthy, where they can begin walking down the path, walking on the journey, the limitless living journey that sets themselves up for amazing success in their metabolic health. Now, you're sitting out there, you're watching, you're hearing, somebody told you about this, and you're like, well, I'm not diabetic, so that's not for me. That is not the case. Because remember, diabetes is a disease that's on the spectrum of metabolism. So on that spectrum is diabetes, pre-diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, right? And we can keep going on and on and on and on and on and on. And if we apply the things that we are learning, then it affects all of those diseases down the road. So you can make a change in your life by walking through the limitless living journey. I'm always glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode, and that's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We'll be back as we continue our fast for this week tomorrow, and then Friday where we do our complete check-in, our complete review of fasting. We're back on Saturday night for Video from the Vault, on Sunday for This Week in Review at 6 a.m. Central right here on Dwain Woode MD Live. And then we're back in the saddle next week for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue the journey of our limitless living, as we continue our mini-series on the domains of health. I look forward to seeing you. For those of you in the community, we'll have our after show meetup here in just a little while. You'll see that showing up in the members area on the channel. Good night, everybody. Have a great evening. Continue walking down the path, because limitless living says that we're breaking free. We're not allowing anything from outside or inside to prevent us from going where we need to go. We are presenting our best self, our best health, and our best life for our success. Good night, everybody.